Okay, today I'm going to speak why there are no universities in Sri Lanka. Okay, if you have top class universities, you can't have syllabi. Now it is Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan. It is Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan who codified, not codified, commodified education. When you give a syllabus, that means you are sticking to something which is not yours. Now, if you take Fermat's last theorem in mathematics, it was done by Andrew Wiley. And when he was proving the Fermat's last theorem, it took about 7 years. There is a video in YouTube. Now it is not prominent. So if you go for Andrew Wiley and see, then he taught that proof as a course in the mathematics department. I can't remember the exact name of the university. So I am saying if you have real university, you can't have fixed syllabi. It has to change in the day and things. You can teach maybe 80% of in certain fixed thing, then 10% or 15% should be the real course. So if you are teaching according to a syllabi, that means it's not a university. Now, as far as economics is concerned, I am saying that economics has two subjects. It is maths and statistics, right? And when it comes to per capita income also should have marginal returns. You can't have per capita increasing everlasting. So that means present economics are fundamentally flawed, whether you like it. And when it comes to Andrew Wiley about this Fermat's last theorem, he taught his proof as a course, and there were only 2 people in the course, and in that course, I think there were 2 academic staff, because for the students, there are few students in the course and they left the course because the course has no meaning to them. So first thing I am saying, if you don't know your mathematics, if you don't know your statistics, and the other subject is physics, you have physics in economics. So if you want to be a real economist, you have to know non-equilibrium thermodynamics, NET, non-equilibrium thermodynamics. So there is no equilibrium in economics, right? In equilibrium economics, there are different meaning. It is different from equilibrium in physics. So they have to right. They have to, if you want to have top class universities, you have to go beyond what they teach in America or Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard or Stanford. You have to create your own knowledge system. You can't have ranking, university ranking within the Western system. If you are having a ranking within the Western system, that means you are catering to the Western economic needs, not to your country. It has certain benefits, because if you have a top ranking, that means you can go and get employment in the Western system. So if you want to be economist, you have to know your physics. You have to know non-equilibrium thermodynamics, NET. Okay. Now I never taught all the syllabus. Syllabus I had about 85%, 90%. 10% I taught what I wanted to do. So I compromised on that, right? So if somebody insists on ranking, that means you don't have university in Sri Lanka. You are catering to the West. It has benefit because you can do improvement, but you are not serving your country, right? So I am the only person in Sri Lanka who taught NET, non-equipment thermodynamics, maybe 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, right? So if you don't teach non-equipment thermodynamics, then you are not economics. You have no understanding. You have to teach about entropy. You have to teach ds is greater than or equal to dq upon dt. That is the most consequential equation in economics. Okay. Second law of thermodynamics written in the differential form. Okay, ds greater than or equal to dq upon dq upon t, where ds is entropy, ds is a differential element in entropy, dq is a differential element in heat energy, and that is a non. I mean, it depends on the path. dq here, it depends on the path upon T. T is temperature. Okay. So again, I will repeat. ds is greater than equal and greater than equal dq upon T, where dq is a non-exact differential. That means it's path dependent. That is the most important equation in economics. That is also the thermodynamic law. If you don't know your thermodynamics, you are not economics. Okay. So I used to teach what the Americans want. Americans are the Western system, 90% in my courses, and 10% I used to teach what I wanted. So I did a grand compromise there. Okay. අපේ රටේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල නැහැ. අපි කරන්නේ ඇමරිකාට වොන්දේ උගන්වනවා. එච්චරයි. හරිද? ඒතර අපේ රටේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල තියෙනවා සිලබස් තියෙන්න බෑ. ඒතර මං කරේ 90ක් විතර ඇමරිකාට වොන්දේ ගන්නවා. අනිත් 10% විතර හරිද? ඒක මට වොන්දේ ගන්නවා. දැන් අපි 100%ක්ම ඇමරිකාට ඕනේ කියලා අපේ රටේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල නැහැ. ඒක තමයි මම කියන්නේ. එතකොට when it takes equilibrium in economics is completely different from equilibrium in physics, right? And economics comes under non-equilibrium thermodynamics, and if you don't know non-equilibrium thermodynamics, so there is no equilibrium in economics. When you use up the oil, it goes to higher entropy state. So if you talk of equilibrium in economics, that has a completely different meaning. So I am telling, we have to compromise. We have to create energy. We have to create knowledge. And maybe you can teach, in a course you can teach 90%, 95% what the Americans want, and 5%, 8% what is relevant. Okay? That is, ඒක තමයි ඒ 105 108 තමයි අපේ ඒක ඇත්ත දැනුම. ඒ 90 ගන්නනේ ඇමරිකාවට ඇයි ඇමරිකාවට අපි උගන්වන්නේ? ඇමරිකාවෙන් අපි මිදු රස්සාට යන්නේ ලංකාවේ නෙමෙයිනේ. ඒ නිසා you have to compromise. අපි 100%ක්ම ඇමරිකාවට ඕන ගෝලන අපේ රටේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාල නැහැ. If you are teaching 100% what the Americans want, then we don't have universities in Sri Lanka. If you teach at least 5%, 8%, 10%, what is relevant to this country, and 90% to America, because America is the hegemon state, right? It is not Britain. 70 years ago, we used to bring syllabi from Britain and teach. Now you bring syllabus from America, you bring books from America. So I am saying we don't have university. But as a compromise, you can teach what the Americans want, 90%, 10% we teach, but it's relevant to the country. That is how you create education system. Otherwise, you don't have university in Sri Lanka.